Hello everybody, this is going to be a video about E46 BMW, explaining why after replacement of shocks and strut mounts sometimes the car sits high, about an inch or so. Sometimes car ends up sitting high, which I have found a lot of threads on the internet about it, but not much explanation why it happens and what to do about it. Okay, first of all, the strut mounts, the original ones, they come from factory, about 100,000 miles or so on the cars. They sink in, and the new ones have more rubber on them, are more pronounced, so it gives you a little bit of lift, maybe a quarter inch or so, but it's probably gonna sit with the weight of a car over time, and that not much you can do about avoiding them. Some brands, Lamforder or some of the aftermarket ones, tend to be a little bit beefier on the rubber side than the OEM ones. That might make a slight difference, so if you're really concerned about it, make sure you go OEM. That's one. Other than that, there's few kinds of struts that come on E46s, E46 M Sports and ZHP or XIs or so. There are a few different ones, but main difference other than the way how hard they compress or not is the length of this piece. So this is a new sucks unit that I'm installing. OEM ones were sucks on this car. It's a M Sport 330i 2002, and I had replaced them before with Bilsteins without. These are Bilstein Sports that come Sports B4 for Sport Package 330. Supposedly E46 Sport Package, but when if you compare them, this is much longer. The way the car sits, I mean, I know it's compressed and this is supposed to go in, so there's not really gonna make much difference on the ride height while sitting, but if you're driving, this is gonna be giving you a lot more room for the spring to expand. And OEM ones that I removed from this car, which were pretty bad already because the car has 270,000 miles on it. These are the original ones. They are, look how much shorter they are at full extension compared to Bilstein Sports. This is pretty much, it's like almost 2 inches shorter than these Bilsteins, where these are almost as tall as these sport ones. They're slightly shorter, the OEM ones, but very little, maybe like quarter inch or so, where these ones are much longer. So that would be something to look at when you're buying new struts for your E46, I'm sorry. And one other reason where people make mistakes, including myself, it seems like, is when they install this rubber piece. It has this gap here where you're supposed to line up, and then it has this empty area where it looks like the spring should be sitting. Like every other pretty much strut I have done, the spring comes all the way here, but on E46, possibly on a few other BMWs, I'm not sure, that area from factory where it's supposed to be is right here, because the spring on the bottom is not round, it's oval. If you look at the new strut, it's oval. So when you install the spring and it doesn't sit where it's supposed to sit, here where it's supposed to end, the bottom end, it ends up being here. The spring gets hung up on this ledge which is about half an inch or so, and that, from my understanding, gives you an extra ride height. And until maybe it settles in after driving, when you turn the wheel here and there and you drive a little more, it settles in most likely. But at the initial installation, the spring has to be seated correctly. So the way you know it is when you're removing it, you have to pay attention, first of all, to line this up correctly, and then, more importantly, or as importantly, not to bring the spring all the way here. If you remove your old spring, you will see that it comes here. There's a, on a pad, there's a compressed mark. So I'm changing the struts again because I want to make sure they're the correct ones for the car. I don't want the long travel ones, because this car is pretty nicely handling car from a factory, and I want to keep it like that way. So let me know if you have any questions, but I searched through the web to see if I find any answers, and this is pretty much the only explanation reasonable I have, other than, you know, if you're keeping the same springs, of course, which I am, and the mount is gonna make a slight difference. But I think it's the sitting correctly on the bottom of a spring on the strut is the most important part. You got to make sure you sit it correctly. Okay, thank you. Another issue could be why the E46 BMW is sitting high after front shock replacement or strut mount replacement is the strut is not seated all the way down properly. You have to make sure there's both pins go in, and this bolt should go in between them, and give it a little support with a jack and play it or tap it with a hammer slightly, and it should go down all the way in easily. So make sure it's properly seated, or if it's sitting high, your car will be sitting high. That's about it. So these are the original struts. They came off E46 330 M Sport 2002, and they have the short part over here. This is the part number of the original ones: 824903557485, one side, and then the other side has a 6 in the end, or a 5 in the end. I tried cleaning it, but the rest of the label came off. And then I had purchased Bilstein Sports that come for E46 330. According to Bilstein, it's on ECS Tuning or any of the other websites. Pretty much lists them as sport. On Rock Auto, I believe FCP Europe also, Parts Geeks lists them as sports, and these are the part numbers for Bilsteins, but I don't believe they're the correct ones, since they are about 1.5 inches or so, almost 2 inches longer. This part extends that much longer, and it doesn't seem like it's the correct one for this model, at least. Maybe for base ride height E46 or XI model will be okay, but not for the M Sport, since it rides lower. So I replaced them with the sacks or sacks, I'm not sure how it goes, the name. Sports, from the picture they looked like they have a short stud right here, and they do, which almost matches this one. It's very little difference, about 1/4 inch longer on the Saks ones, but definitely a lot shorter than Bilstein's. And these are the part numbers for those. They're about 150 each, shipped from Parts Geeks. And hopefully it helps to clarify a little bit for the E46 community, because I was trying to find information. It's pretty limited, surprisingly, what's available out there. Alright, so ride height looks okay. It needs to settle in a little bit still, but compared to what it was before with the this Bilsteins, it seems like it's rides more correctly, the ride height, and it drives really good. That's it. Thank you.